Another way to get members more involved in a specific part of the committee is to ask for subcommittees. Some of the times that we made use of this tool was when we were doing job performance reviews. We would ask members, whether they were a master gardener or perhaps had an ag interest, to take time and kind of, in a small way, shadow that person that was doing that job, and then be able to write an accurate job performance for them. Perhaps maybe even participate in some of their programs. So in that way, you're lending support to the staff member, but you're also gaining information on how they do perform in their capacity. Budget committees, anytime that you have a large scale item that needs more information before a group decision can be made, it's helpful to break that down into a subcommittee and then share it as a group. And that will give you an opportunity as a person who has an interest in that small aspect of the group to delve into that information and then bring that information back to the group as a whole. I also found it helpful to participate with our regional director whenever, especially when we were discussing budgets with the county. It's interesting to get their perspective of what your committee is and what their reaction is to it. It helps you understand where you can maybe shore up some support and maybe who you can have a discussion with that enhances what your program is all about. It also helps the county commissioners identify what your program is about by having discussions with them and giving them a face of the community that is a part of this extension committee and how active and important it is within your county. The budget is an important aspect, and as you spend more time on the committee, I think you begin to realize the impact that you as a committee member can have with your commissioners and that your committee can have as making this budget happen. So it's similar to talking with your congressman. This is your grassroots place to talk with your local government and emphasize to them how important these programs are to the county in which you live in and why you are supporting these programs and why you encourage them to support these programs. So making that connection with your local commissioner and with your budget committee on a county level is a key aspect of the committee to make your programs work and function as moving forward through the year. And helping everyone understand the memorandum of agreement can be challenging sometimes and a little difficult to understand as you work through it, but having conversations and asking questions and answering questions about that will be helpful so that everyone understands the role that the budget plays in an extension committee and with the county that you're working with. The meetings that I enjoy the most when staff were making presentations were ones where they would bring in, for example, a 4-H member to talk about the shooting sports program that they were involved in and some of the aspects that they really enjoyed and gave us actual examples of things that they did in the shooting sports program. We encourage staff members to be creative and involve others that were actually using their program to participate in their presentations, because it gave us a really good idea of the type of people that were using the programs and also the types of things that these people were learning from these programs. It was very effective to showcase the staff's skills and how the program was moving forward for them. And so we would also encourage, oftentimes we had several questions for the staff member, but we would also encourage that staff to ask us questions and so that we could understand how we could support that staff position in a better situation. Prior to the meeting, I felt it was important to review the agenda and be familiar with what the topic of conversation was going to be for the meeting that day. It's helpful to just reacquaint yourself if there was previous discussion, to review minutes to refresh yourself about what that conversation was so that you could help carry on that conversation. Also, prior to the meeting, I like to plan a question for the group. And it could be a very simple question as to what are you looking forward to doing this spring? Or what's a goal that you have for this summer to accomplish? And then ask each person in the room to participate. It felt like it really helped people come to the meeting, have a little bit of time to relax, and also to talk with the other people that were in the room, getting to know them a little bit. It helped the conversation for the entire meeting flow in a more natural way. As a chairman, it's important for you to keep the meeting moving in a timely manner. And that doesn't mean cutting someone short if you're having an interesting and valid discussion about things, but it is being conscientious of how long you are spending on the topic, and especially if the topic is kind of dwindling, it's time to take some time to summarize what the conversation has been about, and then asking if at that point you need to ask for a motion, or if you need to decide to move it to a subcommittee. Sometimes you simply need more information before you can make a decision, so you may need to ask that that item is tabled and comes up again after more discussion or more time has been given to the thought of that discussion. One very valid discussion that we had and spent a lot of time on in our committee meeting was the placement of youth on our board. There were a lot of interesting aspects to the discussion based on what the commissioners were concerned about, based on what one person maybe had an idea was the idea, what the thought process was behind the youth member, or another person saying, I don't know that it's really valid. And so we took a lot of time to discuss that, and it did take several meetings to come to fruition before we were able to finally manage and add 2 youth volunteers to our program. But those conversations are very vital and important, and it takes time to work through them. Try and manage how much time each person talks about the topic in a way. Try and ask open-ended questions so that people are thinking about the topic and are more likely to have input into the conversation, if rather than just making a statement about how you feel. It's not your job is to clarify what the conversation is about and to summarize it. It's not your job to state what your opinion is or which way you would like the decision to go. So always try and keep a neutral point of view when you are reviewing the information and clarifying it for the committee members so that they can make a good choice about what the vote should be.